Hello, friends. Welcome back to Get Happy, Be Fit. Today, we're going to talk some more about sustainability. I have had several people ask me more in-depth questions about this subject since my last episode on sustainability. So to start, like I said a few weeks ago, it may take a little bit more work in the beginning to create something sustainable than you think it will, especially if you hate counting calories. But there are other approaches that don't require counting, or at least as much counting, and those can create sustainability if you are in the right place to do them. I'm also going to talk about what is specifically sustainable for me right now and what has been sustainable in the past, because that can change. You really do have to find what works for you specifically. I know I say that all the time. And it's okay if the first few things you try don't work, or if something that has been sustainable for a long period of time is no longer sustainable at some point. For instance, pregnancy, a change in job and activity level, injury, depression, medication changes, all of that can affect it. So I'm going to talk about a few different things you can try to see if they're sustainable for you. But remember, the main thing to keep in mind here is balance. You will be a bit hungry sometimes when you're trying to lose weight, but feeling desperately hungry and extremely deprived is never the goal. Drinking water and eating cleaner food also helps curb those hunger pains to the point that you might only feel hungry right before meals, which is ideal. But sometimes we have to retrain ourselves and our bodies a little bit and learn different habits. A lot of people have problems with emotional eating and that they do it every day as a coping mechanism when they get home from work. And if that is something you deal with, it's really helpful to go to counseling and deal with the underlying issues. But emotional eating sometimes is okay. Food is yummy. It can have a lot of sentimental and comforting memories attached to it, and it releases happy chemicals. So as much as people say food should only be used for fuel, you absolutely can have the balance of eating a pint of ice cream when you're going through a breakup, or eating a big meal to celebrate the holidays with family and still maintain or lose weight. That is possible. Also, the "don't use food as a reward" statement drives me crazy. Freaking use food as a reward if you want. If you have balance, it doesn't matter if you have a day that you emotionally eat or have a cupcake because you crushed your leg day. But if you can't get control over it and it's hard for you to find balance with it, having some support through therapy, whether it's a single therapist or group therapy, can be a life changer. Not just to get rid of those eating habits, but to deal with the underlying issues that are driving them. Because at the end of the day, the eating isn't the problem. It's what is internally driving the need for that comfort that needs to be addressed. One thing I mentioned is intuitive eating, which is great and I think should be the ultimate goal for everyone who's trying to find a sustainable way of maintaining your weight. But because of diet culture and how we have learned to restrict ourselves on and off for years, which can very negatively impact your metabolism and hunger signals, it's not very doable right off the bat for weight loss or maintenance, because your body will more than likely want to regain the weight you've lost to protect you, or gain even more weight than what you started with. But if this is not the foundation you're coming from, if you've never yo-yo dieted and you have no binging or emotional eating issues, then listening to your body, eating things that you want to eat when you're hungry, and stopping as soon as you're satisfied is more doable. This does take knowing the difference between actual hunger and just wanting to taste something, which can take time, and water consumption can also help with this. This is also often called mindful eating, and it is a very helpful tool. It means slowing down, smaller bites, really concentrate on the taste of the food, put your fork down while you're chewing, and don't pick it up until you've swallowed. Also avoid eating in front of the TV or snacking without pre-portioning, and avoid mindless eating. This in and of itself can make a difference because we often don't give our bodies a chance to send the signal, okay, I'm satisfied, I don't need any more food until we've already eaten way past satisfaction. That also means you may eat less at each meal, but eat more frequently throughout the day, which again is fine as long as you're actually hungry and not just wanting to taste something. I honestly feel like mindful eating is the first and most important step of a sustainable way of eating. Whether you're counting calories or not, mindful eating is essential. If you have very specific physique goals for something like a competition, or you're a power lifter or trying to build a ton of muscle, you have to be a lot more stringent and specific with your macros. But again, that is not sustainable, and it takes a lot more willpower to either eat that much or that little food. So when trying to do a slow and steady cut, as I'm attempting to do right now, what is most sustainable for me is eating at a lower amount of calories 5 days a week and having 2 maintenance days in a row. This is extremely doable for me. This method has also been shown in studies to help retain more muscle mass and keep your resting metabolic rate higher, meaning your maintenance calories will stay higher, and the amount of calories you have to eat to be in a deficit will also be higher. So I'm going to break this down. Say I know my maintenance calories are around 2,000, which will be different for everyone and will always go down as you lose weight because it takes less energy for your body to maintain that weight. But let's say that 2,000 calories is my maintenance, and I want an overall weekly average of 1,600 calories in order to lose about 1.3 pounds a week. Again, keep in mind these numbers are for me specifically and also takes into account my activity level, which is really high. I take between 16 to 22,000 steps a day. So the next step is that I would multiply 1,600 by 7, which would be 11,200 calories, which is how many calories I would want to eat throughout the week. I then subtract 4,000 for my 2 maintenance days, and I have 7,200 calories remaining. I divide that by 5, and I'm left with 1,440 calories to eat Monday through Friday. That also means if I go over 100 calories on Monday, I can make up for it by eating a little bit less the following days and still be right in the sweet spot of my calorie deficit. That way, even if I'm a bit hungry Monday through Friday, or I really want to eat at a certain restaurant or eat something specific, but I can't fit it into the 1,440 calorie range, I know I have 2 days coming up where I can eat at maintenance, which is 2,000 calories a day. And I can eat the highly rewarding food and fit it into my maintenance calories and still stay within my overall caloric deficit. This is extremely sustainable for me. It may feel tedious in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes a habit and your body will not fight you like it would if you were in a severe caloric deficit or restricting certain vital nutrients like carbs. And you won't feel deprived all the time. A lot of my clients do this and find it extremely doable as well. And these are people that always hated counting calories. They came to me saying, I don't want to count calories. Just tell me what to eat. They just felt like it was too tedious, and they also felt like it never worked for them. But now, after being consistent with their calorie counting for a couple of months and getting rid of the shame that came along with going over their set calorie allotment, it's super easy to do and feels seamless for them. They're seeing consistent weight loss without feeling deprived, and they understand being a little over or a little under your calories is not a big deal. And because they're seeing that consistent weight loss and they're getting used to counting those calories the way that they're doing it, they're more encouraged to keep going. Because when you see those results, you're willing to do the things that you've been doing so that you can keep seeing those results. So that is the approach I'm using right now that is working for me. In the past, I was able to intuitively eat without counting, and I had success at that. But now I want to make sure I'm fueling my workouts properly and getting the right amount of protein to maintain and build the muscle that I want to have in order to compete, while also slowly cutting to get to a body fat percentage that I'd like to stay at. Once I stop competing, I will probably go back to intuitive eating if I'm able to have success with that like I did in the past. Another thing that you can try is to try conscious or intuitive eating 1 or 2 days of the week and count your calories the rest of the week. That way you can get a break from the monotony of having to plug in your calories and you just don't have to worry about it 1 or 2 days. And with this, if you aren't seeing the results you want to see, you can adjust on the days you are counting, or you can up your activity, or just know that you need to rein it in a little bit on your intuitive eating days. It's all trial and error and should never be something you feel shame or stress over. It's simply a process of finding what works for you. Also, if you actually do truly like something like keto, which again, only works for weight loss when it is creating a caloric deficit, eat carbs when you're craving them, or be specific about eating them before and after workouts so you have adequate fuel. Same goes for a high carb diet. Don't deprive yourself of fats because healthy fat is also essential. Make sure you're getting healthy fats in your diet, especially if you're craving them, and then keep the balance of not going overboard. If you find yourself going overboard when you have more carbs or fat, that is an indication that you're not getting enough of it on a regular basis. That is not balance. That is not sustainable. I've also had success with eating the same thing every day by meal prepping and having one free meal, I don't call it a cheat meal, 1 day a week. For my free meal, I can have a reasonable amount of highly rewarding food without binging. This is primarily what I did when I was competing because towards the end of the prep, the calories I was able to eat were so low in order to get to a low enough body fat percentage to compete, which again, is not sustainable, that I had to eat primarily natural, nutrient-dense meats, complex carbs, and vegetables in order to avoid extreme hunger pains because cleaner foods have a lot more volume for a smaller amount of calories. In order to have 2 maintenance days in a row at this point, I would have had to eat well under 1,000 calories Monday through Friday, and that is simply not doable and would definitely lead to binging on the higher calorie days. Not to mention, I wouldn't have nearly enough food to fuel my workouts Monday through Friday. This approach is also not proven to help maintain muscle mass and resting metabolic rate. It's mainly a strategy to keep balance and help satiate some of those cravings. So if you're totally okay with eating the same thing every day and meal prepping at the beginning of the week and not having to think about it the rest of the week sounds good to you, this can be a good strategy. But make sure you're not in an extreme caloric deficit like I had to be to compete. That strategy would only be used in the last couple of weeks of prep to get to show weight for a competition. Otherwise, you will end up rebounding like a lot of competitors do. So again, if you do this, eat enough calories so that you're slowly and consistently losing without feeling deprived. If you're trying a bunch of different things and you feel like nothing is working, take a break and just work on mindful eating without worrying about losing. Simply listen to your body. Slowing down and being aware can make a huge difference. And if there is one thing I've learned through all of my weight loss and fitness struggles and victories, it is that the internal drives everything. How we feel about ourselves, how we view our bodies, how we deal with unprocessed trauma and mental issues, all of that can dictate our success in weight loss and fitness. Initially, you may disagree with my next statement, but you're not unhappy because you're overweight. You're unhappy because you feel like you shouldn't be overweight or that you're not good enough or desirable enough if you're overweight. I say all the time that it's okay to want to lose weight, but feeling like you have to lose weight is not a healthy place to be. If your desire to lose weight and feel physically stronger or even look what you perceive to be better is based in love for yourself and excitement for accomplishing something, that is a healthy place to be. Despite what we think or have been told, skinny does not equal healthy, and it does not equal happy. And when you really believe that and feel your worth from within, it's amazing how much more fun life is, and shocker, how much easier it is to lose weight and find healthy ways to sustain it. If you have any questions or want to inquire about any coaching, email me at gethappybefit@gmail.com. All right? That's all for today.